And welcome. What are we talking about today? Ghana in the dark, a power barge arrives. Is it going to be the panacea to all our problems? Certainly not. But being Ghanaians as we are, we have divided ourselves into two halves. Those who think it's worth celebrating the power barge and those who think it's a waste of time to celebrate the power barge. And then in all our bickering because of our political device, the real substance will not be touched on and will easily slip away. What then happens? This is just 225. We are running at a 600 deficit at the moment. What happens to the others? All these questions keep coming up that the present plans in the country at the moment, some are shut down because we simply don't have the funds to fuel them. What has kept us in the dark for 3 years? Is it technical, or is it money, or both? Is it that we really don't have engineers who can fix the issue, or we don't have money to buy whatever part it is that needs to keep the lights on? Who is doing the counting? The cost to business, cost to education, cost to even health, if I may say. And if you add all that together, cost to the nation. So while we are divided as to whether we celebrate the arrival of this barge or not, what is indeed the cost to this nation? Is this what Ghana needs to resolve its energy problem, this power barge? How many barges are we going to need to solve all our problems? And one thing which we should all find out is, in the contract, capacity charges, whether we use these barges or not, we are paying. And to my knowledge, we are ordering about 10 in total. What is going to be the cost? I have Dr. Ishmaelaka in the house, and when I come, I'll probably introduce him. We are talking energy and how it is that we move forward. My name is Nana Sakwa. This is PM Express. Don't move. Well, Ghana in the dark, the power barge has arrived, and I wonder how much of a problem it would solve for us. How much more of the load shedding are we not going to suffer, if I may say. But let me say thank you very much to Malik Dabu, who held the fort while I was away for a week, grieving with Odene Hunkwafu Akutu III, who says thank you to all who made it to the funeral. But coming back to power barges, and I'm here with my brother, Dr. Ishmaelaka, Head of Policy for the Unit Africa Center for Energy. Doc, let me start with this thing. Is our power problem technical or financial, or both?
I think that it is planning. It is not technical, it is not financial, it is planning. I mean, when you have 100 megawatts and you are supplying 56% of the population, then you make a promise that by 2015 it should be 80%. What we all know rationally is that you start building your generation so that it will meet where you want to send it to. We didn't do that. So as demand was growing so quickly, the generation side, the supply was not growing as faster as demand. That is one. Again, we had capacity. We were talking about so much capacity. So building plants, building dams and everything. But capacity needs fuel to be translated into generation. You can't use capacity. What we need is generation. So where is the fuel coming from? From Nigeria, from so many other sources. And these are business entities. If you don't plan that I need 100 from Nigeria for the year, and each unit costs this, so this is my plan for the year. It may even be in the budget. But if we don't have any plan for it, it becomes something like an artwork. So when Nigeria wants their money, we go and pay small, then later they cut it. When they rise up, we go and pay small. So that has been a planning issue, lack of planning. So for me, yes, we can still extend it to the technical and also to the financial, but the fundamental issue has been lack of planning.
I mean, we're in the 4th year. So, I mean, when we say planning, is it that now we're doing something correct, but it will take a long time for it to sort of rectify itself, or we are still in the planlessness state?
I think that we had accumulated more like challenges. It came, and I think the government started doing something. Unfortunately, because it was too much, we made 4 main mistakes. One, with expectations. Expectation in the sense that, oh, we're going to fix it, we're going to solve it, we're going to do it, and giving timelines. So even if you give 4th November and you give it to us on 30th, because the first one you defaulted, people may think that you lied. They don't see the value of what you're doing. So there was so much promises, so much fanfare, again tying into the expectations. So we went to Turkey to launch a Barge. It came, we did a welcome ceremony. The president will again inaugurate it. Then you tell Ghanaians that they shouldn't expect it to fix. I mean, so there's so much people were, giving dates. Then the cost, that also with the planning, because we had, there was so much challenging we have to do to fix it. It should have been an integrated solution. For instance, we produce oil here. We wanted to go for barges. These barges will use heavy fuel oil. And Tor, when they refine crude oil, they can get us the heavy fuel oil. So since we did not have much money, even we owe Nigeria, we owe Ghana Gas and so many other institutions, we could have refined some of our oil here. Then Tor probably can sell to those who are bringing the barges. That will even reduce the cost of importation. Some of these things should have been put in place. But we were in a rush, we wanted to fix it, we wanted to do it. Yes, the Barge is coming to contribute something, to minimize the impact, and we acknowledge it. It is good. But the cost we are paying, if we would have planned well, I think that would have been reduced.
Let's listen to Dr. Amin Adams, who was on Joy this morning, and he made some significant points. So we'll listen to it and we'll take the conversation from there. So stay tuned.
This plant is here, but there's no guarantee that it will give us the power. Because you need to look at the track record of Car Power. The Caradanis company which brought in the Barge. We must be very careful, because eventually, if the plant doesn't work and the cause of it not working is not Car Power but us, then we will not have any penalty paid by Car Power. Rather, we will pay the capacity charge. If Car Power delays in supplying power, the penalty they have to pay, what they call liquidated damages, is $135,000 per day. If there is a drop in power supply by 1%, they pay $36,000 per day, per ship. Now, comparing that with Lebanon, where it failed to work, the penalty they paid for delay in supply was $270,000 per day. And for a drop in supply by 1%, they paid $50,000. And so if Ghana understood that the risk of default is high because of the track record of the Caradanis, we should have asked for more liquidated damages in the event that they don't perform. Unfortunately, we went for the lower. And this is why I'm saying that if you look at the contract, it anticipates that the power may work, the Barge may work, it may not work. Wow. But if it doesn't work, what is the cost to Ghana? The cost to Ghana is so high. And especially if we are not able to meet our obligations, we will pay them the capacity charge, they will not pay any liquidated damages. If we are not able to meet our obligations as a result of our failure to meet the financial requirement for this barge, not just for this barge, but for other barges we are bringing in, not just for other barges, but for other generating plants we have, then of course, DUMSO will continue to be with us. And also finally, the minister is talking about ending load shedding and not DUMSO. And I have a problem with that. Because DUMSO may indeed be worse than load shedding. Because with load shedding, you have a program timetable, which tells you that for this hour or for this day, you will not have power. And so you plan for alternatives. But with DUMSO, which he says he cannot resolve, you are going to have persistent outages. And if you have persistent outages, appliances are spoiled, The opportunity cost is so high for you because you haven't made alternative arrangements, and industry will continue to have difficulties. And therefore, I want government to work not just to resolve load shedding, but also to end the doomsday. And the only way we can do that is to address the liquidity challenges facing the industry. What will be the justifiable increase is what we all need to know. And that is why I think that PURC must be very transparent. The 225 car power ship, if you put that within the generation mix of around 1,800 that we are doing, and that it will come to complement, its proportion should be around 12%. And so definitely if it comes on, the bulk generation tariff will increase. But the proportion of the increase is what we have to work out. And so PURC needs to be very, very transparent. And so I've heard many people say that Ghanaians have to pay for this, tariffs have to go up. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But you see, the tariff politics must be understood in Ghana. In the event that Akosombo water levels increase next year, we expect the hydro component within the generation mix to go up again, which means that the bulk generation tariff will come down. But when that happens, PURC doesn't give consumers the benefit of this. And this is why many people have problems with tariff adjustment. Therefore, we know that there are certain factors that affect tariffs, including the generation mix. And so anytime the proportion change, why don't you give consumers the benefit of benefiting from the tariffs? But because PURC often is not transparent in the tariff determination, many people are skeptical anytime adjustments are to be made.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Now, that's loaded information.
Yeah.
Now, you see, this is what I think we should all devoid ourselves of whether we are MPP and DC and ask, because it's a bill that we all have to pay.
Yes.
You know, whether we celebrate or don't celebrate, you know, how much are we going to pay? Because now all the communication is like gear up because you're going to be paying more for energy. How much more is not quite clear yet. I know ESEP is saying that somewhere between 60 and 100% more we should expect to be paying. But this is not the only barge coming. There are other ones coming.
Yeah, there are other ones even in. Amri is in already.
Has it fired up?
No, they did a tie-in last week, and I think that they promised that very soon it will start operating. That's giving us about 250.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this will give us 225. Why are we so infiltrated about this one and not the others? Because I know there's a total of about 10.
Yeah.
So why are we so fixated on this one?
Yeah, that is a major problem I also have. I mean, Amri came in. We didn't do any fanfare. I mean, so many people are not even aware until Ghana Gas and Ministry of Power issue came up that there was this tie-in, and because of that, we have to, so that we can tie in the badge, we have to shut down Ghana Gas and so many of those issues last week. So I don't know why Kapa, we should travel there with state resources. It comes here, we do first welcome, then we are planning for even inauguration when the president comes. I just don't get it. I don't know. I mean, it is not necessary, especially when you've promised several times that you're going to deliver and you default. I think when it comes, what we are expecting is that we fast track working on it and let us see the output and not just celebrations. I mean, at times it feels very insulting.
Is Amri using the same heavy oil, or that's gas? Or
Amri will be using natural gas.
Natural gas?
Yeah.
So that will be straight from Atuabu?
Yes, from Ghana Gas.
Now, Ghana Gas was supposed to be giving us, I think, 180 million cubic feet. I think the most they've done so far is about 60.
Yeah.
So what's happening to the rest? Is it going to come more?
I mean, you know, Ghana Gas is not even 1 year old. I mean, technically, they started producing around April or so. So it normally builds up. So they were supposed to give us about 120. They started 30, went to 40, 60. as at latter part of last month, they were doing as much as 80.
Okay.
And with time, they will get to the peak they will supply us.
And how much does the AMRI need?
AMRI for 250, they may need about 80. And the Ghana Gas is still supplying some plants, VRA plants in trouble. And we want to do a reverse flow. But the good news is that apart from the Nigeria one, Nigeria has started improving. Initially, they were supposed to give us 123 cubic feet. They were giving us around 30, 40, 50, 60 because of the debt issue and so many other technical issues. I think Nigeria is improving. So when Nigeria gives us about 120, and Ghana Gas is also able to give us about 120, I think that will be enough for these budgets. And later part, the last quarter of 2016, I think Sankofa and some other fields will come on board. So Ghana Gas will get more gas to supply to these plants. Yeah.
So that's good news then.
Yeah.
That's good news. But even though I've said it again, I mean, you are the energy guy. What is this about car power? Because in the media, us in the media, we're so, in love or obsessed about this one and not, not the other 9, if I may say.
I mean, I think that it was the expectation. I mean, when car power became so synonymous with badges. So initially, when you mentioned, so many people do not know even the fact that AXA is also bringing a badge. We don't know. AMRI is in. We don't know. But the ministry keeps on mentioning car power. And I think, as I said, the celebrations and some of these communications, I mean, it is coming. It's not coming. And the drama around car power made it very popular. So almost everybody think that even car power, I mean, every badge is from car power, and car power should be celebrated and all these things, yeah.
Is it the best solution?
I mean, technically,
all these badges?
Technically, no. Because the badge is like a generator. I mean, you have a problem. And for me, in 2014, when the president announced that we're going for 2 badges, 475 megawatt, car power and AMRI, we at ASAP supported as a short-term measure. That was 2014, and we're expecting these badges to be in around March. Unfortunately, we've gone through this problem. This month, VRA was supposed to give us about 220 megawatts. TICO expansion, 110 megawatts. Siemens, 38 megawatts. Asogli is giving us 180 megawatts. This is 548 megawatts. Asogli is doing additional expansion, and next year they are adding additional 180. GE is building 1,000 megawatts plant. And there are so many permanent investment going on. So we thought that, yes, the budgets were even coming. It would have been maybe for some 2-year period, I mean, so that we can invest in permanent capacity. Unfortunately, we signed a 10-year deal. And that is, considering value for money and the cost involved, I think that we did not give Ghana a fair deal.
I'll come back to you. So once the permanent expansions and everything is done and we have the badges, what then? Do we sell the permanent energy to, our neighboring countries, and then we hook onto the badges? But hold on, let me just acknowledge Kojo Poku, who's also an energy expert. Kojo, you're welcome.
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers.
Good evening, my brother. It's been a while.
Good evening to my Isa brother.
Kojo, the fuel for the badges. I mean, I know you dabble in that. I mean, how are we going to fuel the badges? Because at the moment, some of the plants inland are shut down because we can't get the fuel. The fuel for the badges, are they easier to find, cheaper to find? Where's our hopes coming from?
You see, when it comes to the fuel issue, and I think the last time I made mention that from my sources, and I was right when I said that the government does not do anything with the fuel. Car power are the ones who get their own fuel, and they basically fuel the barge. What government pays for is the electricity they produce. So at the end of the month, if they produce 1,000 kilowatts of power, they will send that the bill of 1,000 kilowatts, and that's what we pay for. You see, Kapa has been in the business of doing this kind of business for a very long time. They've done it in various countries, and I'm sure they are able to source the fuel. That is why they use that type of fuel. If it was a burden of government to find the fuel, then some of these discussions and the worries that some of us have would be genuine. But the only thing, if that barge comes in as it has, and it's not able to produce a single electricity, nobody pays anything. If it produces electricity and is not reliable, then nobody pays for it. If it produces electricity and after a while it can't produce anymore, even more better for the country, because then the government can come to an agreement. So I think in terms of the fuel, the car power people are on top of that thing, that they know where they can get the HFO from. That is why they're using that type of fuel.
So you think the capacity charge will not come into play because they're never going to be idle?
Well, you see, the only problem in the long term is that, you see, they are part of our base load, okay? And meaning base load is that, you see, sometimes these emergency barges are brought in as a supplement, okay? So that, let's say you're like in the situation we are in now, Akosombo is low, so you need a supplement, something to add on. So then you kick in Kapa. But the way we sign Kapa is going to be our base load for a very long time. So even if the cheaper fuel comes in, which is hydro from Akosombo and Pong and these other sources that are coming in, we are still going to pay them as if they are generated. Okay? So, like I said, in terms of the shorter measure, I heard my brother saying that in 2014, when they announced that this thing was coming in, I have said it several times that if it had come in then, it was a brilliant idea. But unfortunately, it delayed. Okay? And still, it has come in at a time as I speak to you. I'm in darkness. My generator is running. I'm sure half of the country is in darkness. So that 225, if they are able to produce that, will be welcome. But I just think that every little now that we get to help us is welcome. In the long term, yes, we all agree it wasn't the right thing that was done. But for now, let's hope that it comes only to help us all.
What's the clause to sign? Emergency. So why 10 years? Why not 2 years, tops 3 years at a push? Why 10 years? What's the strategy on that?
Well, I honestly don't know why. And honestly, I think that it's a bad decision, okay? Because it's something that is a permanent infrastructure for the country. I don't know, after we have paid them for 8 years or we paid them for 6 years, all that money that has been paid to them, they could just be and go. And it's not an infrastructure that I have always said that if the government felt that they needed that type of infrastructure and it was not going to come in immediately as they promised, they could have actually given me or anybody a sovereign guarantee for $2 billion, and in 18 months I would have built a 225 megawatts in the country. And that money would have been paid for itself with the money that by generating basically what we are going to pay them, which is like leasing. The difference between what we have is like leasing a car and doing a high purchase, okay? If you lease a car, you can lease the car for 5 years, 2 years, or 3 years. The car is never yours. By the time the lease is ended, you return the car. But if you do a high purchase on a car, within the time that you finish doing the high purchase, you finish paying for the high purchase, the car becomes yours. That's the difference. We are leasing the barge. It will never become ours. So the money that we all agree that is a very bad decision. So that one, I don't know why they made that decision.
There are a couple of barges which build, own, operate, and then transfer. Maybe, I don't know about the car power barge, but the other barges, I think, eventually becomes ours.
Well, you see, that brings us to a very important question. Initially, when this whole thing came up, and someone like me supported it because the minister came up and said it was a ship, not a barge. Difference being that the ship was self-propelled. It doesn't have to be towed from point A to point B. Because what you said, you're perfectly right. There are other barges around the world that can be brought in at a much better arrangement. But what they said was that what they are getting at that point was that it's a ship. And based on the emergency of the situation, the ship would sail on its own to our shores. We now realize that a completely different thing happened. The barge which has come in, you realize that everybody has been silent on the ship thing. Now everybody is saying barge, barge, barge. Reason being that when what we negotiated was for a ship, what we end up getting was a barge. Okay? Now, my source tells me that...
Are you sure the minister didn't refer to it as a ship because it's a floating vessel and not the as you using it technically?
No, the car power people don't do. If you go on their website, car power don't do barges, they do ships. That's the difference between them and other companies. If you go to the car power website, what they have is ships. And like I said, they proud themselves on the difference that their facility, which is the car power ships, are self-propelled. These ones that we got, which is the car power barge which we have now, which was not propelled on its own, I don't want to give the reason why it came as a barge because I'm 100% sure.
What's the advantage or disadvantage? You just need it to generate energy.
Well, the advantage of a ship is that it propels itself to the destination. So let's say when it was coming in, it didn't have to come on a submersible.
Oh, aren't you being a bit too, nitpicking? I mean, all we need is to park somewhere and generate energy as to whether it drove here or...
I'm just trying to go to your point when you said that can there be other companies that could have given us a similar deal for a better equipment?
Okay.
I'm telling you that the reason the car park was chosen at that time was because they were given a ship. Because if it came to barges, I'm saying you are right. There are other companies that could have given us a similar barge for a better deal.
I see. Hold on, let me talk to Dr. AXA is giving us 370.
Okay.
Are we going to own that after 5 years or something?
The fact is that we own a barge already. In 1995, we signed a deal in Italy. 2001, 2002, it came, Osei for barge. It was supposed to give us 125 megawatt. I mean, that is for Ghana. As at now, we've not gotten even 1 megawatt from it. Fuel issue and so many other issues. So I think that, yes, as Kojo said, initially we were all happy that at least as a short-term measure, the barges will come and help. But going forward, I think that we don't need extra barges. We need permanent, affordable, relatively affordable capacity. Because the barges come with conditions, escrows, so many other conditions, which in permanent capacity we may not. And we don't have that luxury of money to be putting in accounts and so many things. So AXA, yes, 370, I've not read so much of the terms, but that is also a barge and it may not come cheaper. Whether we are going to own it after or they are going to take it away.
Before I was going to ask you, I was saying that once we've gotten all our 10 barges fired up, and then God blesses us with some rain. So Akosombo is firing up, Bon is firing up, maybe even Bui is standing by happily. What then happens? Do we, sell the cheaper energy to the neighboring countries and we are plugged onto this ships, or do we sell the ship energy to them and then get cheaper energy to us?
I think that question makes the decision to sign for 10 years the bad decision. But when it gets there, I think that, as Dr. Amin said, when you look at the generational mix, I mean, naturally, if now we are using more of maybe light crude oil, and for that matter, consumers are paying more, when the water level in Akosombo and Bui start increasing, we have to reduce prices because water level, that generating power with the hydro is relatively cheaper. So looking at the generational mix and all other things being equal, exchange rate and other factors being equal, then we have to. So probably we may negotiate with the other countries we can export to if we can sell power from the barges to them. But if we don't get, I don't think that it would be fair to sell the cheaper electricity outside and sell the expensive one to Ghana. I think that it will not be politically and economically rational. Yeah.
Kojo, are you there?
Yes.
Kojo, fuel worldwide is, getting really, really cheap now. And one thing which we are complaining is that we are not feeling the benefit. Thankfully now, because of the fuel regulation, we've stopped worrying about how much we pay for what we put in our car. But you have VRA and all these big boys who are complaining about fuel. Well, I mean, aren't they benefiting from the cheap fuel?
Well, I don't think that we see, because of the deregulation, you don't really get the official announcement of how much fuel is going up and how much fuel is going down. But if you watch the prices, I think the fuel is up every now and then. We are not enjoying the cheap fuel as you internationally. Fuel is cheap, yes, but in Ghana, I think for what we pay in Ghana, I think it's still high. With what fuel, the fuel that VRA uses, which is mainly the light crude, it's relatively still expensive if you still want to use crude to power. As compared to the HFOs and the gas, crude is expensive regardless, because it's like what they can the generation cost and what they can recover. You see, that is where the VRA is. It's not a matter of can they buy the fuel for us to pay for it. If we were paying certain amount for electricity, then they can always buy the crude option to power. But right now, what VRA, I think I'm right, VRA is trying to do is reduce the amount of money they spend and how much they get back. Because if you keep buying the fuel option and powering your generators with the light crude, what you are doing is that you are now costing you more to produce electricity, and your recovery, the under recovery is much higher. So I think that is why they stopped it. If what they wanted was basically that increase in tariffs, and the tariffs were increased to a certain extent, then it might have to make business sense for them to start going back to the crude. But I think they stopped that option, not because it's not available. It's available. But for what we are paying for now, the under recovery is very high.
Doc, one of the concerns of all the energy gurus is our track record. Yeah. All these contracts we are signing comes with very, very heavy, clauses to the point where they want you to keep money in an escrow just in case they can fall back on. They all have sovereignty guarantees backing it. Now, our track record, one is what Kojo is raising is the amount, the cost of production and the cost we sell it. Okay. And after we've produced, let's say, at 10 pesos and sold at 8 pesos with a 2%, 2 peso difference, you still have ECG that's not even able to collect that 8 pesos. Yeah. So when that happens now, what then happens to us?
I mean, I think that the issue of the distribution bit, I mean, VRA and Co. generate, I mean, they use different kinds of fuel to generate power. Gridco transmit, ECG is supposed to distribute, sell, and take their money and pay them. I mean, this is quite simple. But what happens is that there are two issues. there's issue of technical and commercial losses. Those who do illegal connection, and also technical losses as a result of these outdated machines and all those things, which is affecting them. Then there's also
like 30%.
No, about 20%.
20%.
Then there's also the issue of government. I mean, this is a very serious issue, and normally we don't take it serious. Government using power and not paying. I mean, when you have a cold store, you bought the fridge, and you say that because you bought the fridge every day, you go in and take one fish out. I mean, a time will come, you will not have any fish to sell. So government owes ECG, VRA, and all that. But you cannot say that you use power and you don't pay. What we were proposing was that we fix prepaid meters. You know, government bungalows and ministries, department, agencies. Then when you are budgeting, these are government-subvented agencies. You put in, you do allocation for their light bills. I mean, it will even promote efficiency, knowing that the Ministry of Agri, we gave you 50 cedis a month for your electricity bills. Some of these things will help cut the commercial losses of ECG. And apart from that, we should be able to have a prepaid meters all over, universal access prepaid meters, so that if you don't buy it, you cannot use the power. But if we still continue to use the postpaid, people doing illegal connection and all that, some of these issues will keep on coming. So, and at times we will say, oh, it is the tariff. Yeah, let us pay realistic tariffs and all those things. But I think some of these commercial losses, especially from the government side, should be checked.
So do you think the tariff increase is sort of the easier, or let me put it bluntly, the lazier option? Because if, let's say, they come up with, say, look, we're going to increase it by 100%, realistically, maybe they could have done 20% and then close all the other gaps, you know, collect more money, reduce more energy laws, get the states to pay their bill, and just go up by 20% to cover up.
Yeah, I mean, it is the easiest part. And if we say the 100% they are demanding, the 100%, the cost of production, the fuel mix, plus what you use, the margin for the generators and utility players, and what the government is using. Because they are using it and they have to pay. I mean, there's no two ways about it. You're using power. And I just don't understand it. We said this several times before the budget, and I thought that by now they are putting in certain measures, at least efficiency and for so many other reasons, these measures will be there. But almost all the time, and nobody is defining realistic. Then there's also this issue of non-transparency. We are all talking, oh, the budgets are in, prices are supposed to go up, tariffs supposed to go up. But who is telling us about how much we are going to, in fact, how much it will cost to produce 1 kilowatt of power from the Barge, so that we know that, yes, now hydro is costing this. Standard international, they say, oh, it's about 5 cents per kilowatt hour for hydro. For gas, it is about 9. But it can change here in Ghana because of so many other reasons. Put these figures out and let us see how, after closing the technical and commercial losses gap, how much is left so that we can put up something. But even if it will be 30% because of so many other reasons, let us make it 100. And because the consumer needs, and the argument is that because we are captive consumers, the argument has been that, oh, even when you're using generator, you pay more. So even if you make it 200%, it's still less than generator. I mean, when you do that, it is not fair. I mean, it's not fair to the consumer.
You seem to be hijacked.
Yeah.
You don't have anywhere to go.
That is it.
Kojo, do you think it's, I think as a people, we have become too tolerant and too politically divided? Because if you raise this issue now, anyone who is pro-government thinks, oh, you're not being fair on the state. And those who are anti-government or on the other side, if I may say, would have nothing to do with it, won't see anything good about it. And therefore, the substance of the matter has been, disappeared.
Yeah, 100%. I've always said that we live in a country that, unfortunately, everybody has an MPP ear or an NDC ear. If something is being said by somebody and the person wants to use their NDC ear, and then they use that ear and whatever you are saying is either right, or they use their opposition ear and anything that you're saying is wrong or right. It's very cool. You see, what we should, as Ghanaians, we should understand is that we are Ghanaian first, okay? came in after. If we are discussing as vital importance as electricity, be it opposition or ruling party at any point in time, you are affected. Now, if you are in power today and you think you are getting monies and you are buying generator, are you going to be there forever? And if you leave, whatever money that you have taken and packed under your bed, aren't you going to use all that money to spend on expensive policies that you are putting in place? So I think that is very unfair on us as Ghanaians when people now put on their political hats or opposition hats to subsidize also a praise whatever, whether good or bad. I think we should learn to be Ghanaian first. If we can't afford to pay for certain tariffs, let's say we can't afford, and let all support that we can afford. If it's something that we think we should pay a little bit more, let us all come to a consensus and say we should pay a little bit more. But I just agree with you 100% that anytime vital issues like electricity payment, because like my friend from ASAP said, if you are saying that, oh, even if you're using generator, you can pay more. How many people are using generator? On my road, there's only 2 people, myself and my next door neighbor. The rest of the road is in darkness. They can't afford it. And government is the biggest employer. So if you're going to increase tariffs, be prepared to increase salaries. And if you don't have plans to increase salaries, then don't talk about tariffs increase. Because with one arm, if you are taking it from them, then they will take it off you from the other hand because they are going to agitate and ask for more increase in their salaries. So I think that we should face serious issues like energy and how we pay for it holistically and stop doing politics with it.
Dr. Has anybody come up with some numbers, education, business, health, what is it costing us? Has anybody come up, with some figures? I know we are not very research sort of people.
I mean, as in terms of how much electricity they use, or
no, how much the lack of electricity has cost, health, education, business.
I think that for small and medium scale enterprises, I mean. We did a study, and later Osei, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Legon, also did a similar study to look at the impact of the load shedding. That was the first quarter of this year on small and medium scale companies. And Osei found then that it costs $2.2 million a day on small and medium scale companies. Now, when you take these firms, they spend 64 million cedis a month on fueling their generators. Now, according to ASAP, when you take the OMCs, the oil marketing companies, they spend 100 million cedis a month on just their generators. So this is some of the costs, we have. We've not done for the health and for the other sectors, but this is the small and medium scale companies. And when you look at the Association of Ghana Industry, recently they released that last year about 12,000 people lost their job as a result of the doom. So because cost of production was going high, and some of these producers have to cut costs. So they sacked some of these workers. Jojo Cream and so many other companies sacked some workers. So this has been the cost, social cost. There are so many, in fact, so we see it, we feel it. So we don't need so much figures to even argue. But this is some of the costs.
Well, I'm going to take a quick break, and then when I come back, I just want to find out, is it that maybe us in the media having put these numbers out so that people look at and see how real it is? Because these people suffering, I don't think they say, oh, well, because that's an MPP business, I'll leave the light on or I'll switch the light off. We all suffer. So why is it that in debating these issues, we divide to debate when the issues are so real? Don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying, and I was wondering why it is that, in the face of such great problems that face us all, we are still able to divide and argue out our case. Those who say that, oh, don't worry, it's okay, it's going to be fine, and those who are saying, no, it's not going to be fine, we are dying. But the records of, CAPA has come into question. Dr. Amin obviously has done his research and said, look, Were they the best options? Have we dotted all our I's and crossed our T's before inviting them? Because it's happened in other places.
Yeah, I think that apart from even Dr. Amin, when we listened to Kojo in his earlier submission, he was talking about the fact that initially it was supposed to be a ship, later it became a barge and so many other issues. I think that they had serious issues, legal issues in Lebanon in terms of underperformance. I mean, where you promised that you're going to give, say, 130 megawatts, and later you were producing around 60 or something. So there are issues. I think we have clauses in this, our contract, that if we default, this is how much you pay us. Unfortunately, I think the issue Dr. Amin is saying, raising is that when we default, we pay so higher. When they default, they pay us about 10% of when we default, we pay. I mean, why should we negotiate and put ourselves in that bad position? I mean, this is very bad. So, yes, whatever they produce is what we'll pay for. That is good. And because we need the power, that's why we signed that agreement. We needed 225. They come and, for instance, they give us 100. They are going to pay us, I think every 1% is around $50,000 or so. But in the case that they produce, and we don't need it, and for that matter, we don't want to pay, we're going to pay about times 10 what they should have paid us when they defaulted. And I think that it's also another weakness of this contract we signed with Kapa.
So why did we sign it? It's an unfair question, but let me just ask
you.
Because they also need the business.
They need the business, they are business people. But it has been not just with Kapa, but almost with all the plants we have. Elsewhere, you know you need 2,000 megawatts. The president promised that by 2016 we should have 5,000 megawatts. What it means is that if we haven't, say, 3,000 now, we need 2,000. Elsewhere, they will invite companies to bid. So Kojo's company will bid, another company will bid, foreign and local. Then you evaluate them technically and commercially. You negotiate with them and get the best deal for Ghana. Almost every machine or thermal plant or barge we sign for, we do sole sourcing. Now, sole sourcing, it means that we put the fate of the nation in the hands of so few experts. Few experts, and they go and they do what they think will be good for Ghana. And before you realize, these are some of. So, apart from the barges, machine come. Look at some of the VRAs, they break up almost. They work for 3 days, they break up for 4 days. But if we sit down as a country that we need 2,000, let us invite bills. Let us look at how we are going to solve ECG's liquidation problem so that they will not demand this escrow and all those things. ECG can pay for the power they produce. Now they come in, let us look at the standards we are looking for, technical, commercial. There are experts, engineers in Ghana and elsewhere who can help select the best deal for Ghana. I think that should be. If not, we will sign these deals and always come here and discuss that. Probably it may not be good for us.
One question which can be answered is, realistically, when this tie-in, this connection, this run, and so that these things are working, what are we looking at? 3 months, 2 months?
The Gridco said they are going to do it in 7 days. And I think that the planned inauguration by the president will take place in 10 days after yesterday's party. So we're hoping and praying. For us, we've added some 4 days so that let's give them 2 weeks. Looking at a history of promises and defaulting. So our prayer is that it will work so that we'll all be fine. We are all facing challenges. But again, going forward, let us make sure that we get value for money. If it is emergency, don't let us go beyond 2 years. If not, we'll put Ghana in needless financial challenges.
Which the energy experts seem to foresee that it's going to happen.
It will happen. Not that, because Akosombo will work. As I said, GE is working on a 1,000 megawatt plant. Asoge is expanding by next year 360. VRA is building a lot of plants. There are so many. We even have this wind project the president inaugurated at Ada. So many projects, when you add them, they will give us more than 2,300 megawatts. That is permanent capacity, cheaper than the barges. When they come online, I mean, it will be, economically not wise to use a barge when you can generate from, say, Akosombo, cheaper. They will be there and we'll have to pay for
Well, I mean, if the barges are there, just a quick one, if the barges are there and the dam is going to fill up, they would there will be a policy to overdraft it so that you can justify the use of the barge, because we've done it before, because instead of repairing the machines, we overdrafted the machines. And I'm saying that, I mean, if the society was alert, we should have been very angry.
Yeah, but for that one, I don't think it will happen.
Thank God. But Doc, thank you. Yeah. But this conversation has just begun. Yeah. I am sure, as far as energy is concerned, we'll get you back in, and we'll be looking at other aspects of energy, probably even educating us to conserve, because that's one thing we don't do. Everybody just leaves bulbs on in their house and just leave. But thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. But let's hope that the tie-ins and plugins, solves our problem, because we are really paying too much. Yes, I know we pay a lot for generator, but still, it's too much. So thank you very much for coming. Yeah.